So after spending over $2 million on TikTok ads, these are the top 5 or 6 audiences that I found that consistently work. You should test yourself, and this is a video for that. This is the top 5 or 6 audiences that have generated 3, 4, 5x returns around campaigns, and you should probably use them as well. If you're new to the channel, I'm Harry. I've been a media buyer for the past 5 years really. I've worked with some of the biggest and largest brands in the world, scaling 7 and 8 figure brands, working in top agencies in the world, as well have my own clients consulting, and I see a lot of data. So this video is for you to see the best audience that you should test on TikTok. You should test everything on TikTok, especially on TikTok, because it's a new platform, just work. This is a really wild game on TikTok. Media hacks are there, the media buying hacks are there, so you should test everything. But let's see the top audiences that you should be testing, especially if you do have a winning creative. So the first audience is, you name it, the open audience or broad audience. It's basically just no targeting at all, just only the demographic targeting. Assuming that, of course, if you don't have like a certain demo, you can just put 18 plus, and this is where we start. Really just no targeting at all. Go and publish that stuff. It's that easy. It's actually one of the best audiences on Facebook too, but on TikTok it actually works very well in general. I really recommend trying that. I know, a lot of people don't really like the broad and just letting for the algo to do the work, but we have found the best results with the broad audience. And of course, the broad audience doesn't mean you be that broad. I mean, you can skew down based on the demo or the gender, but I recommend starting with broad, like totally open, nothing inside it, and then you see that view data button under the actual ad group that you can see here, and just click it. And then after it has a few days of spend, you can see everything here in terms of data. You can see which people actually did purchase what. So this is amazing, and this is how you're gonna skew the audience after broad. Broad audience have been one of the greatest and more consistent audiences, to be honest. So I really haven't made testing that. Number 2 audience that we have found working the best is single broad interest. So for example, just putting like apparel and accessories, or beauty and personal care, or men's clothing, something like that. Just one interest, again pretty broad. We have found TikTok to be working the best with broad audiences, and I mean the sweet spot is around 20 million people. Of course, it depending on your country, but you want to keep that audience like in the balanced state. If you see the audience size when you create your ad group, it has like a narrow balance and broad. So keep that on a balance. Around 20 mil is where we found the sweet spot. Anything above that, it really doesn't make a big difference, but TikTok in general needs the big broader audiences, especially at the start, and when you have to give it a bit room to actually just get a lot of data into the pixel, into the account and the campaigns, and then you can skew down and really play with our audiences in the low 7 and high 6 figure range. But broad audiences, but broad interest audiences we have seen great result, and that's you can just put stack of a couple 3 interests, but the thing that I'm talking about is just single interest groups that are pretty broad. So for example, we had one client that was a clothing store, so we had like men's clothing, men's shoes, and I think men's jewelry, I can't remember, but this was like 20 mil around, or 15. So just put that, and it was actually one of the top audiences for that period. I mean, you stack it by just single interest. You can just put single interest, but you can really stack it as well, and just keep that audience, give that audience size in check, and this should be enough broad, so that is actually broad enough. We have seen the best results from there. You can actually see that again if you go to the view data button after it has some spend, or if you have another ad group running, you can go to you can go to the view data, you can go to lifetime. It's what I like to do. You can go to audience, and you're gonna go to interest in behavior, and I like to sort that by either conversions, if that ad group had conversions, or either by the CPA, because we have some KPIs with the CPAs and we want to keep things in check. So you can see really which interest actually produce the best CPA, the best or the most conversion. And if you scroll down, you can see the purchase intention, which actually annexed in the list that we're going to talk about. But you can see the interest here. You can see baby, kids, and maternity. It says that it has to pay over $150. which is crazy for that client. But anyways, that wasn't that great for example. But again, you can see men's clothing here, it gets 100. That's much better. So you can see here, you can really skew down things, and you can do that with the gender, as I said before. You can see we get 25, 34, we get like 70 CPA, which is pretty decent for this client actually. So we might just want to skew down just, you know, on this 25, 34. I just want to be cautious here when, because I've seen that in many accounts, and you probably have less, smaller CPA. I mean, depending on your client and your niche and whatever your business is, with the higher demo, but you get much higher CPMs and much higher, you know, CPCs and stuff. So it really just offsets that. So just be aware, not just put the older demo because CPMs are too high. But I don't know, that was the second audience. The third audience is actually purchase intent audience. Now, in those interests that I mentioned, you can do purchase intent. This is actually a new feature from TikTok. It just allows us to target some interests that, you know, people in those interests are more likely to buy based on TikTok. You know, figure out how they behave on the platform and in general on the web. I assume that this will get better. It's not that great, it's not that consistent, it's really hit or miss right now. But I assume that this will get better as we go. I highly recommend testing that. We like to actually stack the top interests as we go, as you see here with the view data and analyzing some data. I like to actually stack the top 2-3 purchase intent interests because they are very small in the audience, more narrow and more engaged. So that we can keep as broad as we can, you know, then go from there. But you know, it's really hit or miss right now, but it would be good to actually test. We have found some very good results, and we have scaled some ads very far with just that. So the next on the list is TikTok suggested. Yeah, I know, this is the most lame one. I mean, you just click the button. So if you have seen that, when you scroll down, you go to put your interest, you will see TikTok recommending some interest. And this interest, bear in mind, this will be totally not in line with what you're thinking that you should be targeting. I mean, every time you see all crazy kind of stuff on this audience. But I suggest clicking them and try that, because I've seen very good results with that. TikTok knows it will actually scan everything from your ad to your landing page to everything, so you can find very relevant information, and we will actually scan and see what industry you're in. So we'll just know that the algorithm knows better in that case. So we have found very good results actually, and we have found good results if we have like a broad audience that is doing very well. If we dupe it to the TikTok suggested, which is again very broad, it seems to revive some of the winning creatives that have died down. So really good, just that again we've seen great results. And what I like to do is every week I actually go inside it and update the actual interest, because each day they will give you a new interest. But once a week I will update it, or twice a week if it is, you know, spending a lot of money. But it's a good interest to actually test, so just test that. Next up on the list is household income. Now TikTok just released that. You can actually target people based on the income, based on some zip codes. This one on the US though. I've actually made a separate video for that, which is going very depth on how to do that and what's the best so far. But you can basically just target people based on the target, based on the income levels, you know, 5-10% zip codes, all the way up to 50%, I think. Right now it's actually working very nicely. I didn't expect that, and I assume they will get this. This will become better as well. But if you have a US account and an AOV of your product like $100 and above, this actually works very well. I found it working the best with high AOV products, which it makes sense because you are giving this to a higher demo, to a higher income demo. But it works very nicely, and it's very easy to actually test that. So go test that. It's very effective. And yeah, household income is something that we're testing even more. But so far we found like the 5-10%, which is, you know, the top 5-10%. Just starting there, even if it's a bit narrower, and then going broad if, you know, things allow it. Next audience up the list is the lookalikes. And I was actually not very into testing lookalikes, from Facebook, which have been very hit or miss to test them here. But don't sleep on lookalikes. We found some great results lately with lookalike. Again, not the most consistent, that's why it's very higher in the list, to be honest. But you should test them. And what I like to do and what I actually found is if you go narrow here and then go broad, it seems to be going better. So I recommend going with add to cards and buyers at the start, depending on your pool size. Maximum of course like 180 days, unless you're spending on. And this will give you like a narrow audience on the audience size pool. And then as you go and they fatigue and stuff, these audience fatigues, you can add like clicks or 100% video views. Start narrow and go broader. I've seen the best results with that, and when talking to other media brands, I've seen the best results with, as well as other agencies. So yes, don't sleep on lookalikes. I'll do actually another video separate that how we structure it and what the best audience to test at first. But I think don't sleep on them. A pretty good audience. So that was pretty much it. The main audiences. That was pretty much everything. This is what we found. Some things to test is also hashtags. We haven't really experimenting with hashtag targeting, but I'll let you know more once we get clear data on this. I don't really like to talk when I haven't tested the thing, but we have some great results in some clients, but we have really limited test that. So I'm gonna give you data on this. And in general, just once you go and scale and get some data into the account, go into the view data button, go into and starting to skew audiences and test audiences in the high 6-figure, 7-figure range. So we like to go very narrow with maybe you have like one interest that is doing very well, and we can couple that with the best, gender and age, size, and ages that do the best. So we have like 25 to 34, and we targeting men's clothing, and it's only like on men. So have a very small audience depending on when you're targeting, but skew audiences as you go and you think they're relevant, because you have you still can find very good efficiencies in those smaller audiences, even though in general broad audiences work the best. So that's all pretty much it for this video. I hope you really enjoyed it and got something out of it. I know I pretty much mentioned everything, but this is the audience that we have found working so far, how we approach the audience testing and audience in general. And yeah, thanks a lot. I really appreciate taking the time of your day and watching this video. If you do want to scale your business on TikTok in the next 36 days, you should do a call with me, or just comment below and I'll help you out. Have a good day.